Hello and welcome to Penalty on the Podcaster. I just want to talk, where I just talk about things I want to talk about relating to the NFL. This episode, Lamar Jackson and his new contract. Now, when I first had the idea for a Lamar Jackson episode, it was about how the Ravens should re-sign him. But now it's about his record-breaking contract and why that was a bad idea. Before we get to the content, this podcast is unsponsored. If you'd like to sponsor this podcast or contact me for whatever reason, email is in the description. This podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, RSS Community, and Google Podcasts. If you'd like to check out this podcast on any of the other platforms, the links will be in the description. RSS Community is the recommended way to listen to this podcast because you can view the transcripts there. And if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Help the channel grow. It costs absolutely nothing. Takes about a second, and you can always undo it later. Make sure to ding that bell or follow or subscribe, whatever, on whatever platform you're listening on, to never miss an episode. The best way for you to help the podcast grow is probably the simplest. Just spread the word. It would really help if you could just talk to someone about the podcast. Maybe recommend it to someone. Really, it's so easy. Please do it. And now, let's get to the content. Oh, and another thing. This is part of a stretch from Wednesday, April 26th, 2023 to Monday, to the Monday after, where I will be doing podcast episodes for Penalty on the Podcaster. I just want to talk every day except for Saturday. So I'm really just trying to get these episodes out and keep a flow of episodes. So like and subscribe to support the grind. Now, let's get on to the content that you are listening to this episode for. Lamar Jackson signed a new contract. So I thought they made a big mistake when they franchise tagged Lamar Jackson and opted to pay Roquan Smith $20 million a year. Then they signed OBJ, and I was like, okay, they got to sign Lamar Jackson. They can't just franchise tag him because this is a guy who you can't let walk. Now I think they've gone a little overboard with a $260 million 5-year contract. Jalen Hurts' contract was signed a few weeks ago, and that was the highest contract ever. On a per year basis, he makes now $1 million less than Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson, new highest paid player on a per year basis. If you want to listen to that episode, it was like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles just reset the quarterback market. And in the description, I said, sorry, Ravens, because I knew this was going to up Lamar Jackson's price. And he's got $185 million guaranteed on this contract, too. And the interesting thing is, Lamar Jackson's cap hit doesn't come in until after the next season. So they do have cap space to sign someone and then worry about it later, which is a strategy sort of similar to what the Rams used and are now paying for big time. They might get Caleb Williams out of that. That's an episode coming up later. But right now, Lamar Jackson is the highest paid player. And really, this guy has only won one playoff game for the Ravens. He's been good, but he spent the last 2 years, he ended the last 2 seasons on injured reserve. So is he reliable? Like, yes, he's good, but is he reliable? And will he make the Ravens a Super Bowl team? Because there's a difference between contender and Super Bowl team. Because, like, the Bills are a contender. Have they made a Super Bowl, like, in the Josh Allen era? No, they haven't. That's a problem. But it's one that they can resolve when they're not paying their quarterback $52 million a year. Now, Lamar Jackson, like, why is he the highest paid player? He's only won one playoff game in his career, and he gets injured quite a bit. Like, you're signing this guy to the most expensive contract. in NFL history on a per year basis. And yet he's finished the last 2 seasons on injured reserve. That does not seem like a good idea. And I think that Jalen Hurts' contract really hurt the Ravens because I think it upped Lamar Jackson's price. I think if Jalen Hurts hadn't been signed to that ridiculous contract, I think the Ravens would be paying Lamar Jackson a lot less. And Jalen Hurts really furthered the quarterback market, and Lamar Jackson furthered the quarterback market more. So when Justin Herbert and Tua Tagovailoa and Joe Burrow get signed to their extensions, they're going to be signed to huge contracts. And then after that, you got guys like Justin Fields, Mac Jones, but there will be an episode on him in the future, and Trevor Lawrence, who are going to be looking for contracts. So, yeah, that's really what I said last in the episode about Jalen Hurts. But they're signing this guy to a contract, and there's no guarantee he'll stay healthy. They're giving him $185 million guaranteed, even if his leg falls off at the knee, he's still getting his money. So I think this is a stupid idea by the Ravens. Well, not exactly stupid, but I think they made a large mistake by signing him to this contract with him being injured and also winning a single career playoff game. And I don't think he's the type of guy to make the highest paid player in the league because with such a huge cap hit, because I don't think he can be relied on enough to lead the Ravens to a Super Bowl. But then maybe his knee never gets hurt again. Unlikely. Well, actually, it could be likely, but maybe his knee never gets hurt again, and I really hope so. He is fun to watch. And, if he doesn't get injured, he can totally lead the Ravens to a Super Bowl. But that's a big if for a guy who spent the last 2 years on injured reserve. It's a huge if. And so I don't think you give him the biggest contract in the NFL ever. But another interesting thing about him, no agent. He did not have an agent. He was negotiating with teams himself, which was really cool. And he still, no agent, and he still lands the biggest contract in the NFL on a per year basis. So that is huge. He's really just showing, don't need no agent, and he gets the contract. But this will be terrible for the Bengals. They will likely bankrupt themselves. But for the Ravens, they might not be able to pay this and keep a bunch of talent. And if he gets injured, which can totally happen. He's been injured the last 2 seasons, and they'll still have to pay him a ton of money, and that's terrible. I'm really rooting for him to not get injured and to pull through and to make this worth it. And I hope he wins a Super Bowl for the Ravens, because I know the Rams aren't going to be making it anytime soon. So if the Rams don't win it, I hope that the Ravens, get a return on investment. He's a fun guy to watch, and he can make magic, but there is the injury concern with him, and he's not guaranteed to stay healthy and make this contract worth it. And I personally would try to sign him to a much lesser contract, just because he could get in, just because of his injury history. And his injury history for me at least, would be a huge concern if I was the one making these decisions. I likely would not have signed him to this contract on the basis of his injury history. He has spent the last 2 years on injured reserve. Why pay him this much money, and especially this much guaranteed? And the Ravens are going to be in a bad financial spot. He does reduce his cap hit for this upcoming year, but oh boy, when this following year ends, he's going to have a huge cap hit for the next 5 years. But then again, if he can stay healthy, this will likely be totally worth it, just like Jalen Hurts' contract. And apologies for any background noise. I don't actually have a recording studio. I have a bedroom, and there are other people in the house. So, apologies for the background noise. And now, well, that's really all I have to say. This will totally be worth it if he can stay healthy and play well. But if he and play at the level he's been known for playing at, but he has spent the last 2 years on injured reserve, so this doesn't seem like a very good move for me. Anyway, that's really all I have to say. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. This podcast is not currently sponsored. If you would like to sponsor this podcast or contact me for whatever reason, my email is in the description. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Help the channel grow. It takes about a second and costs absolutely nothing. And you can always change your mind later. Make sure to ding that bell or follow or subscribe or do whatever on whatever platform you're listening on to never miss an episode. Also, please spread the word. It is the simplest and most effective way to help the show grow. And that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this installment of Penalty on the Podcaster. I just want to talk. You'll hear more of me next episode.